Welcome to Comics Now. It's Brian. Happy Thursday. Hope you had a great new comic book day yesterday. Hope you picked up lots of great stuff. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about a few comics, and I also wanted to talk about a few things that I've gotten in the mail or from the store recently. So, got a few interesting things added to the collection, and I'm going to share that stuff with you guys here. So, first of all, comics. Really enjoyed Venom number 6 this week. It was the close to the first arc of Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, J.P. Mayer, Frank Martin, and Clayton Cowles' run. This has been a great run from start up until this point so far. I love the book. The sixth installment just kind of dialed up the awesomeness to 11. One of the book's greatest assets has just been the way that Stegman and Mayer and Martin create the visuals. It's very rock and roll, very metal, very exciting, and this just pushed the envelope even more. I don't want to spoil anything in this book. If you haven't read it, you should buy it at least for the visuals. And then the story is actually really good too. What Cates has been building in this series so far, expanding upon the mythology of the Clintar symbiotes, it's been really cool stuff, and seeing that kind of come to a head here at the end, and see this confrontation between Venom and Null, that's K-N-U-L-L, the creator of the Clintar. It was exciting stuff, and there was just some real genuine tension there near the end. Again, don't want to spoil anything, but if you're not reading Venom, you should be. Even if you're not into horror, I'm not into horror. I just think Venom looks cool, and I'm willing to deal with some of the squirmy things that come up in a Venom book from time to time, so that I can enjoy all of the stuff that I love. So check this book out. Immortal Hulk number 6 was also out this week. I've really enjoyed what Al Ewing and Joe Bennett have been building in this book. They've had a really good one-and-done kind of format for most of the series so far. Things are starting to pick up into a longer story, really beginning with last issue, but especially this issue. It introduces a lot more key players in what's to come. We saw the return of Betty Ross into the picture. She and Bruce haven't seen each other face to face yet again, but that's coming. So that's exciting. I really can't wait to see what this team is going to do with this book going forward. And as a bonus in this issue, we had some really great guest pencils from Lee Garbett. So the book looked really, really great too. Very much enjoyed that. DC's Justice League, I believe it was number 8 this week. Really good too. I wasn't a huge fan of the last issue that James Tynion did, the Legion of Doom installment number 1 that he did. But this week he did the second installment, and even though I would kind of have preferred to see Snyder's story keep on marching along, I thought Tynion did a pretty good job. It wasn't nearly as verbose this time as the last time around, and Mikel Hanin's pencils and Jeremy Cox's colors looked really, really good in this book. There are some shots of Black Manta that are just ridiculous. So again, this is one where it's worth picking up on the strength of the artwork alone, but Tynion actually did a really great job this time too. So if you've been enjoying Snyder's Justice League, these Legion of Doom cut-ins, they're not essential. They don't move the story forward a whole lot, but they do offer some rich background for the Legion of Doom that we have in the comics right now. And this one in particular, I thought was a really entertaining installment. So kudos to Tynion, and kudos to the whole team. It was a really good book. So those are the comics that I'm really excited about this week. If you check out our podcast, also really, really mostly excited about a book called Petals. It's a graphic novel from Boom Studios' Kaboom imprint, and it's created by Gustavo Borges and colored by, I'm forgetting the name. I'll look that up later. But the colors are done by a compatriot of Gustavo's. They're both from Brazil. And the book looks beautiful. The colors are beautiful as well. And it's a book without dialogue. It's a wordless book. And so that sounds like an enormous challenge for an artist, but Borges is up to the task. And this, no joke, it's one of the most special books that I've read. Maybe in the past couple of years. It's really, really good. And it's on an all ages imprint, but it's not a kid's book. Kids could enjoy it. There's things that kids could enjoy here, and there's nothing offensive that you'd want to keep a kid from getting involved in. But there's a lot here to appreciate for adults. There's a lot of subtlety in emotion that adults are going to pick up on that children might not as keenly be able to define in their minds as we adults can. So check out Petals. It is really a fantastic book. Beautifully done. So that's comics. In terms of merchandise, well, guess what? Some of that's comics too. So I told you guys that I was getting this. We've got the Fantastic Four Omnibus Volume 1. This is the latest edition. This book has been published before. This is the latest edition that they just released a couple weeks ago, I think. Maybe it was just a week ago. I had pre-ordered it anyway, and it showed up on the release date. Very excited to sink into this as soon as I'm done reading through the Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1 Omnibus. There's still a chunk left of that one. I kind of stalled for a week or so here in reading through that one, but I started reading through it again today, and I'll get through that, and I do enjoy it. It's not a chore at all, and I'm excited to get to the Fantastic Four. I also had pre-ordered another comic book, and this one, it's the Jeff Lemire and Greg Smallwood deluxe edition hardcover from their run together on Moon Knight. And I have not read any of this, didn't read any of the single issues, didn't even track it down in Marvel Unlimited. So it's a completely new thing to me. I've heard great things about their collaboration on the series. Very excited to read that as well. Probably going to be a few months if I've got to get through Amazing Spider-Man. I've got to get through the Fantastic Four Omnibus. I've got that Lemire and Sorrentino Green Arrow deluxe collection that I've got. I want to reread Tom King's The Vision. I haven't read it again since I bought the hardcover, and I've got the Moon Knight stuff to read. There's a lot of comics to read, which is not a bad problem to have, but there are a lot of comics to read, and I don't want to rush through any of them, but I want to be able to read them all, and that's impossible, but I'm going to do my best. Finally, as a lot of you guys know, I was at Keystone Comic-Con in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania this past Saturday, and it's a pretty small convention, but it's a quality convention. My first impression when I got there in the morning was I texted my wife and I said, this is kind of lame. There was a lot of empty show floor. It seemed like kind of a small deal, but the longer I was there, the more that I saw, the more creators that I talked to. It's actually a really good con. It's just small right now, but if they maintain the quality that they had this year, in subsequent years, it is going to grow. So they had some really, really good talent there. Greg Capullo, Jonathan Glapion, David Walker, John Boy Myers, Pete Tomasi, Kyle Higgins, Steve Orlando. There was a lot of great people there. There was a lot of names I didn't know, but that had phenomenal artwork on display. I met some independent comic creators that I'm looking forward to following up on and checking out their stuff. So it was definitely much more of a comics focus than the Wizard World show that also comes to Philly each year. So I really appreciated that because Wizard World just increasingly is not my speed. It's not what I'm into. So I'm grateful for an alternative in my greater metro area. So anyway, that's all a segue into I almost dropped $20 on something when I was at the show, but I realized that I could probably get it from the outlet that has the exclusive rights to sell it instead of buying it from a vendor at Comic-Con. And so I looked it up online and I got it for $7. And it's something I wanted when I heard that it was announced, but it kind of dropped off my radar and I forgot about it. Here it is. It's the Justice League Unlimited Martian Manhunter Pop. Now, I mentioned Steve Orlando was at the Keystone Comic-Con, and I got to interview him about his upcoming Martian Manhunter maxi series with collaborator Riley Rossmo, and that was an exciting conversation. I love Martian Manhunter, and I think I probably saw this after my conversation with Orlando, and I was already jazzed and hyped up after talking to him about Martian Manhunter, so I kind of felt this compulsion to buy it. Thankfully, I didn't spend $20 on it. Ordered it from Walmart. It's their exclusive, and I picked it up from my local Walmart a few days later. So let's open this bad boy up. I love that packaging sound on the microphone. Look at that dude. That is so cool. I actually really, really like that it's a very classic costume, which, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, that's the way Martian Manhunter looked. I don't hate the pants that we see him in the comics today, but there's just something about this costume. It's simple, it's sleek, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So, really, really love that guy. So anyway, like I said at the beginning, I hope you guys had a good new comic book day yesterday. Let us know what comics you're reading. Let us know what books you'd like to hear me talk about here on this show. Let us know what books you might like to hear us talk about on our podcast. As always, you can find our written reviews, our news articles, anything else that we post up on our website at comics-now.com. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at ComicsNowCast. You can find us on Facebook by searching Comics Now. You can find us on iTunes or Google or Stitcher or pretty much any podcasting platform that you use if you want to hear our weekly conversations about comic books. And as always, I'm Brian Warshaw, and this is Comics Now.